Hey guys, welcome back to update 3 on the Hobby Boss Sturmpanzer. You may be wondering, where's the Sturmpanzer? It's back in its box. The build got to be such a giant ball ache that I got fed up with it. The fit errors got worse and worse the more I worked along on the kit. I was going to take the kit out of the box for this video, but I couldn't be bothered. So, my last video I left off, I was starting the engine deck. Went together all right, but when it was finished, or when I finished it, I noticed that one side, if you're looking at it from the back, the right side sat higher than the left side. So I looked at it and I realized that, I don't know if you can see it, that part sits along the top of the hull. I don't know if these are cooling intakes for the engine compartment. I don't know. But the one side, the one part was molded about a full mil thicker than the other side. So that was a lot of sanding to do. That wasn't so bad. Then I get to the next part. This bar, whatever it is, there's a slot. When you put the engine deck on the lower hull, there's a slot in the back. I'll put a picture up. I took a picture of it and how I fixed it. It kind of clips in and flips up. So I was test fitting it. And with this part in place, the exhaust doesn't fit. So I ended up taking that part out and filling the slot with a piece of plastic card and some putty. And I got a picture of that as well. The exhaust wasn't a great fit. These end pieces, it was almost like they came off of a different exhaust because they were half a mil out of diameter from the size of the exhaust or the muffler, whatever you want to call it. That was at Hi Riley. As soon as I sit down, you want to play tug of war. And they didn't fit very well either. There was a lot of gaps that I ended up using some putty and Mr. Surfacer to fix. Yeah, that's it for... Yeah, these fins didn't fit very well either. I had a lot of sanding to do to get them to sit even. Yeah, that was another great thing. Nothing really much about the breech. I didn't build all of this. I built about half of it. There's no point because I'm not going to have any hatches open and you're not going to see any of it. So I get over to the casemate, sorry. That's where the real fun began. It's 6 pieces. Why they made it like that, I have no idea. But this part and this part on both sides, it was a terrible fit because they had to fit on a angle like that, and it was just a horrible fit. I would have had a lot of filling with putty to make it even, and then I was going to sand it all flush. I was going to surface texture it with some Mr. Surfacer anyway, but it was a lot of work. So I had it temporarily glued. Well, these two parts on both sides I had glued together, and they just snapped into the front piece here. So I did a lot of test fitting with the lower hull. And when I put the back plate on, it didn't fit. Because this butts up against the front of the engine deck. And when I fit it like that, it left too much of a gap at the front. If I made it so that the gap here was fixed, there was too big of a gap between the back of the casemate and the engine deck. And the casemate is from the interior kit. It's from the early mid. I don't know if it's a bit bigger. I have no idea. But and this back plate was a terrible fit as well. So I was sitting here trying to think of what I could do to make it work. And I was playing around to see how it would fit with the gun. As it sits on its mount, where it's mounted in the kit, according to the instructions, when you put the casemate on, it doesn't fit. It sits too high. So I thought about cutting it off here, and I thought that was a bit too much work. So I just pried it off the gun mount and was going to just glue it and leave it. I didn't care if it moved around or not. But what did it for me was the roof. It did not fit at all. It was too wide and it was too short on the back by about not quite a half a mil. And the other thing was the earlier Brumbars were angled. They had the sides and then they angled in towards the front. The angle of the roof piece didn't match the angle of the casemate. So I could have fiddled and farted around with it, but to get that angle correct, I would have wiped out all the bolt detail on that corner and that corner. So that's when I was sitting here and I just thought, fuck it. And I threw it all in the box. And I'm kind of disappointed because it's a really nice kit, a lot of great detail, but the fit of the parts was just terrible. I don't know what Hobby Boss was thinking. Did they take advice from Dragon on how to mess up a kit? I don't know. So anyway, that's it for that. Call me a quitter, call me whatever, but I'm sure every one of us who's ever built a model comes across a kit where you work hard on it, you do a lot of work, you know, you do your best work, and the fit problems just get to be too much. Yeah, I'm not having very much luck with Sturmpanzers. I've only built one, and that's the very first armor kit I built back in the 80s, the original Tamiya Brumbar. I've still got it sitting over there somewhere. And then the mid-production Dragon kit I started building about 4 years ago, that was an absolute disaster. That was the worst kit I've ever tried to put together. And then this Hobby Boss kit. I may get back to it one of these days. I may have to scratch build a new roof for the casemate. We'll see one of these days. So my next project, this. I bought this about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago from my 2-town over local hobby shop. It being a Tamiya kit, I know it's not going to be any problem. It's probably going to build itself pretty much. It's been a long time since I built a Tamiya kit. The last Tamiya kit I built was their Easy 8, which to me is one of the nicest armor kits ever produced. It's an absolute beautiful kit. So I ordered the ATAC, excuse me, ATAC Zimmerit set for this from Andy's HHQ. It should be here in a couple of weeks. And I also found a ET model basic photo etch set, which comes with the the Scherzen, the mud guards, and a few other bits and pieces. Found that on eBay. I'm not a very big fan of eBay, but it's the only place I could find it. So in the meantime, I'm going to clean up the road wheels. I'm not going to do any attaching of parts to the lower hull because you got to put the Zimmerit on first. So this version has steel road wheels and the combination of rubber-rimmed road wheels. So I'm just going to play around with it for a little while until I get my stuff in. And I'll be back with another video on this in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. So, I got a couple of shout outs. If you haven't checked out Zinzan Scale Modeling, please do. He's a brilliant modeler. He's a lovely chap. He does armor, he does aircraft, and his work is really, really, really nice. He's got a very dry sense of humor and a very dry, self-deprecating sense of humor. He's a really, really nice guy, and I'll put a link to his channel down below. And the other one I want to give a shout out to is Plastic Monkey, Paul Chaplin, another brilliant modeler and a really, really nice guy as well. He's closing in on 2,000 subs. He's a couple of hundred short, so if you're not subbed to him, go give him a sub and help him get over that milestone. So I'll be back soon, guys. Take care.